Call this meeting to order. Everyone, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Chuck Davis.
Here.
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 Bob Barkhurst.
Here.
Gary Flutie.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Has everybody looked over the agenda? I have one thing that needs to be added to the agenda. It was late arriving from the town attorney. And it's gonna be under town hall. It'll be 15. It'll be Stropus property. Property out by the lake. Does anyone else have any additions or corrections to the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as read?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the April 1st, 2025 meeting. Are there any corrections, additions that need to be changed on that? Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 1st, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 1st, 2025.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to approval of the bills. Deposits in the amount of $186,382.16. Accounts payable. Excuse me, accounts payable in the amount of $188,713.83. Transmittals in the amount of $53,559.71. And payroll in the amount of $52,272.99. Any questions? I have a motion to approve the bill and along with the transmittals.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Move on to correspondence.
The National Police Week is going to be hosted by the Rollins Police Department. They're having a flag ceremony in Melbourne. Thursday, May 15th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Flag ceremony starting at 2:30.
Thank you. Any additional? We'll move. Excuse me. We'll move on to items from the public. And first on that is we have a special events permit, Mr. Elder. Are you gonna?
Well, this is Kathy.
Okay,
He's done most of the work. I did the permit.
okay,
Hey, if you guys have questions about.
okay. That's fine. Go.
Any questions? I don't have it in front of me, so I don't know any of the details. I don't have any questions. So this is for the first annual Pickin' on the Platte event. So we are bringing in musicians, bluegrass and country. It's a family-friendly event. Date on this is, let me make sure I get it right, 17th of May. It's, we put in the permit for 8 to 4. It's the actual event is 11 to 4:30. And we're doing it on the backside of the community center. This is sponsored by the Platte Valley Community Center. That foundation, we're putting it on, bringing in food trucks and craft booths for people to come and go. We're encouraging families to come out, all ages, bring their lawn chairs and their picnic baskets and picnic chairs, whatever they want, and sit out on that green space and kind of come and go. We're asking to close off that, just that block from 2nd to 3rd on Spring. so that we can let people kind of wander, and then we'll set up the musicians on the back patio and sort of project out in that little triangle area of grass. Liquor, no liquor. Parking, we'll just have, we'll be using the space on in front of the school, elementary school, and then our parking area at the community center.
And you're gonna go till 4:30?
Mhm.
I have a question on that. That's on a Saturday, correct?
Mhm.
Can you get the street open by, you
Yeah,
know,
for church.
10 to 5, quarter to 5 for
We're going
there's,
to church. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's Saturday mass, so.
and then,
Mass is at 5:30, so we'll have everything wrapped up and open for that parking area to be accessible for the churchgoers.
Chief?
I have no concerns. That's gonna be my only question was that access to the church for the priests during the day and then services that evening.
Okay. Questions?
Nope, that would have been my only question.
Do I have a motion to go ahead and approve this special events permit?
I'd make the motion to approve this permit.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
The only thing I would add is if anybody's interested in setting up a booth, crafts, kids, wares. And then we have an agreement with food trucks. We're reaching out to food trucks. So one of the requirements is that they have a current permit with the town for food truck service. If anybody's interested, let us know. Contact Joe, and you'll start seeing flyers around town. Maybe folks have seen them here. Flyers like this. Posted some things on Facebook and other social media areas. So there's information on Facebook if you're interested in contacting us, if you're interested in participating.
Okay,
We'll have a lineup of our musicians posted this week.
all right, thanks, Gabby. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. We have Union Wireless.
How are you guys?
Okay, how are you?
Good. X.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks. Been a few months since we came and gave you guys an update on the first page. We're just talking about the benefits to the internet services that we we're bringing in fiber to most of the community. We'll be doing some fixed wireless on the outside parts of the community that doesn't make sense to bring fiber into. We're also getting ready to update the wireless network here to a multi-network in Carbon County. And that's slated to happen in June of this year. So that'll be 5G ready. It should be in line with like an AT&T or Verizon service that you have today. So that's exciting. That's coming. On the next slide, it's showing you what's covered currently with 1 gig services in the community, where we have 2 gig services. So we have 3 zones that have 2 gigs, and then we have 3 more that'll be completed this year. That'll also have 2 gig services. So that will basically cover within the city limits of Saratoga with all fiber. So. Great.
Great.
Yeah. And then the next slide talks a little bit about the fixed wireless that we'll be doing in some of those outlying areas where it doesn't make sense to plow in fiber. Some of the people out there will be able to get up to 100 megs. And then others will only be able to get up to 25 megs in those areas. We've also been talking about, help me where the trailer park is that we've been talking about.
Oh, yeah, bringing the EUs.
Yeah.
You know, medicine water.
Thank you.
Those we've had changes in ownership. It's been really hard to just get fiber into them. And so we're looking at a copper solution.
Yeah, so most of the structures there, if we do this, which we're trying to have happen in the next month or so, in that area can get up to 100 megs. It will still be a DSL service, but right now most of them can only get 10. So it'll be a nice upgrade for them. I think there's 70 structures now. So. Yeah, so we're just about done with the build here, finally. Do you guys have any questions for me?
I don't.
No.
Thank you very much for the update.
Yeah, thank you.
Looking good.
We'll move on to the Carbon County Library.
Here. Only got a few copies, so some of you guys are gonna have to share. When I came in, a couple months ago, I let you know that the library as a whole is expecting to have a pretty significantly reduced budget this year. And we've already made, I think, approximately 10% cuts to what we're expecting to ask for the county, but we don't know if that'll be enough. So we expect there might be some more. So this breakdown gives you an idea of how the Saratoga branch is funded through the library system itself, which receives money directly from the county. The county pays several of the utilities on the building because it owns it. And the town of Saratoga has been gracious enough to do water, weed and pest, and lawn care and snow removal, which is a significant expense. And so we thank you very much for that. We also get funding from the 2 school districts. The Carbon County Library Foundation provides a lot, as well as the Saratoga Friends of the Library Group, which is a great organization, as you can see down in the additional expenditures that they've provided a lot to the library. So what we're actually hoping to ask for is for the town to choose, if it's willing, 1 or 2 items. Our suggestion is with the internet and phone bill, because that's one of those things that really directly impacts Saratoga residents. It's something they benefit from, having that access to Wi-Fi at all hours, and then they can go in and use a computer during the library's open. And the office supplies, which I believe the office supplies and not materials general, is what covers paper and ink, which is why I only have, well, I printed those off of my own paper and ink, but and I'll give them one to the newspaper and one to the clerk. But that's a significant expense, and we even charge for that. So it's just one of those costs. If the town were to take over one of the Carbon County's utility bills, for example, that would be wonderful. Although that wouldn't actually affect the Carbon County Library's budget. It would just affect the county. And so it'd be an indirect savings for the county towards the library, which we would then ask them to consider when they're looking through our budget proposal for this year. So my suggestions are phone and internet and or paper and ink, those sort of things. So thank you very much for hearing me on this. I'll
Okay.
consider it.
Okay, we'll take this under consideration. We're getting ready to start on a budget pretty quick, so
Can I give one of your copies to your clerk, or do you want to do that later?
she can get one of ours.
Yep.
And again, I really appreciate all of the Saratoga Library already does. I mean, the service it does to the library.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to Kathy Beck with Carbon County Prevention Network.
And there's quite a bit of information in your packet this month. And I mentioned this a couple of months back that I'd like to just use this format monthly, so folks know that they can go online. You can see the agenda, you can see what's in the packet, and those links are all live there. If you're interested to hear more or learn more about CCP and the Public Health is our sponsor, so you can go to the Public Health org site and check out prevention there. We also have a Facebook page. There are posts there regularly about events. Our next Carbon County Prevention Network virtual meeting is Monday, May 12th. The next in-person is June. We just had one yesterday. April's theme is opioids. You can read a bit about that. 14% of high school students reported misusing prescription opioids. 16% of high school students in the United States have reported using prescription drugs without a doctor's prescription. Kids report that they have access to counterfeit pills, prescription pills. So we're just looking to raise awareness and encouraging those conversations with our kids. The Connect program, I'd really like to bring folks' attention to the Connect program. It's a post-vention strategy to support a community response to traumatic death or tragedy. So rather than focus on prevention, we're looking at postvention. So how do we deal with traumatic death or tragedy in our communities? I put a little analogy here. I'd just like for you to think about when a flood sweeps through a town, the entire community must come together first to stabilize, then to rebuild, and finally to grow stronger. Similarly, in the wake of suicide or traumatic death, our community's resilience depends on a united response. So this Connect program is put together and managed at a state, county, and community level. So it's an opportunity for folks to learn how they can basically build strategies when we experience traumatic loss. We're going to put together, we just did a training in bags at a county level, and then we have follow-up. Rachel will plan a connection in June or July. So I'm going to be mentioning this the next couple of months so that we just remind people, if you'd like to hear more about it, please come down and check it out. So we'll get you a date coming June, July. In the meantime, please take a minute to check out the Connect program. Upcoming events, Care Fair in Rollins. This is the 3rd annual Care Fair. It's at the Family Rec Center, Saturday, April 26th, 8 to noon. So if you're interested in learning more about health programs and care opportunities, there's a lot of good booths that they set up there for the Care Fair. Again, that's Saturday, 26th, 8 to noon. And then Sources of Strength, which I've mentioned a couple of times at previous meetings, is a program that builds confidence, builds connectiveness within our young adults and young people and adults here in the community. There's a Sources of Strength open house. We're going to just take an hour to introduce people to the program, let them know how they can be sponsors. We've been sent out invitations and handed out invitations to business owners and organizations here in town. So we're starting there. We're hoping to grow into the schools, but at this point, we're looking for businesses to be that safe location for kids to be able to come and contact or connect with adults. Other training opportunities include the 4th annual Drug Information Opportunity Symposium in June. That's at the state capitol. It's a Tall Cop Says presentation. It's also available via Zoom. So all of these things are available for you, anybody in the community, to participate in and learn more. If you have any questions, again, you can hopefully reach out to me or to Rachel. Any questions?
Perfect. No, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. Okay, we'll move on. Representative Bob Davis is going to be here today. When I talked to him at the Chamber Social, that's when he told me he was coming to the second meeting, and he's not here, so we'll move on. I have a few comments to make, a little update on, they're all updates on the fire district. Spoke with John a couple of days ago, and well, on Monday, I guess. The contract is back with their attorney. She did a draft, sent it back over to him for review, and he'd missed one of the bullet points that we went over that night. So it is back in her hands, and said he should be going to our attorney pretty quick on the fire district. So we'll get a chance to review it then. And then the next one is on the combined dispatch. We got a draft copy of that. John and I looked it over. we shipped back a couple of little things. One was how long the contract was gonna be. And John had a couple of, questions that wasn't in there about the fire department. And what was the other one?
Yeah, I just noted one part was just for dispatching the on-duty officer, and I wanted that to just say officer or add the on-call officer also. And then the other question was just, there was nothing regarding the fire department included in the contract.
So that went back to, Kylie, and also we're waiting on Sheriff Bakken's response. Haven't been able to get a hold of him. I don't know if he's on vacation or what, but we're waiting on his, if he has any input. So that should be coming to us, I would say, in the next couple of meetings. And then the last one is on a lease agreement that I handed out to everybody. And this lease agreement is on the corner over here that, they're talking about putting up the Teens Memorial, bench and flagpole. And I guess eventually there'll be a statute there of him sitting on the bench, but, I read through the lease. I had no concerns. I believe Embry browsed through it too. He never reported back to me. I don't think he had any concerns on it. And, it's in the hands of the people that own the property. It's in the shepherd's hands. What I'm gonna ask the council is if they sign it, if there's any changes, I'll get back with them, but I'm gonna ask the council if the shepherds sign this, if they'll give me permission to go ahead and sign it when it comes in, so they can start work on it. They're trying to get it up and done before,
For July.
yeah. So if I could, ask the council if somebody would put that in the form of a motion to go ahead and have me sign that when it comes in.
I'd make a motion to go ahead and sign it when it comes in and let's get started on it.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And I'll let everybody know. I'll keep everybody posted on that. I'll then send out an email or something on that. Okay, does any other council member have any comments they need to make at this time? Okay, we'll move on to reports from Department Town Hall. And Jen, do you want to take over with this? And that's the Carbon County Fire District. They have a grant application.
Grant application from the Carbon County Fire District. Carbon royalties. In the state of Wyoming, they're looking to get a grant to purchase the train. And they just need a letter of support from the municipalities saying that they are in support of the applying for the grant.
The application's in there. They're wanting to purchase a fire trailer for training. It's quite an expensive trailer. But they say, when I talked with John about it, Rutherford, he explained to me that it's hard to get anybody out to certify these guys as a fireman one. And by having this trailer, I don't know if their training officer can do it, but they can bring people in because we'll have the facility to certify these people as a fireman. That's why they want to purchase the trailer, so. If the council so agrees with this, we can have Jen draft a letter of support and I'll sign off on it.
I'd make a motion to draft the letter
Of support.
of support.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the Storpus property. This was the addition to the agenda, and it's a quiet action, quiet title action on the Storpus property, which is out at the lake. It's been discussed numerous times. We chose to hold off until the Hatterley had everything in line with who actually owns the property. Kylie sent it over to me, said she has no heartache with us. So does the council want to move forward with this and sign this quick claim deed tonight?
Yes, I'd make a motion to move ahead and sign the quick claim deed.
Okay. I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Let's get it done.
Under discussion, he'll bring the check in for this little triangle piece of property. I have one question. Emery, do you have a problem with this?
No, I read through the whole thing, both chunks that were kind of up in question were. So. It's resolved.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Done. I will sign the quick claim deed giving this little triangle piece of property to its purposes. All right. Okay, we'll move on to the police department.
Mr. Mayor, Council. The last 2 weeks, we've had 136 law calls at the police department. Starting to pick up on just some more time-consuming type calls than we've been doing over the winter. Of course, more people in town, weather's getting nicer, more things going on. Nothing too spectacular. 10 animal complaints, had a couple camping violations. No hot pool violations, at least listed for the last couple weeks, so that's been good. We did have a suspicious person in the women's changing room at the hot pool. The officer got there, he was gone. But then the same party, and I'm assuming that reported it the first night, called back at 4 o'clock in the morning, 2 mornings later, saying he was back down at the hot pool. Weren't able to make contact with him, just was able to get the vague description of the vehicle off the cameras. We could see him leaving, but couldn't get a license plate to find out who it is. So that subject's still unidentified at this time. Otherwise, what I have from the last meeting, we went over the Plus Electric quote, which we're waiting till the new budget year, but we did approve getting those plugs changed out for the 911 system. We got that done. It came to, I believe, $298. And so that's been done for the UPSs for the 911 system. Mayor already spoke about that. I did receive our crash stats for the town from YDOT from 2020 through 2024. This just goes for the crashes that meet the standard that we have to report to the state. And this year, well, actually 2024 was our lowest year of reported crashes since 2020. Our peak was in 2022 where we had 20 personal injury and damage over $1,000 crashes. In 2024, we were down to just 5.
Oh, wow.
So that seems to be improving. Luckily, it seems like our Bridge Street and First Street had been the biggest for a while, and that's kind of calmed down. I actually saw on Facebook today, someone posted a picture of the traffic light there. I think it was in 1940, and everyone was talking about we need to bring that back. I'm like, that'll stir up a hornet's nest.
Still sitting in the Wolf. Is it? That's in the back room.
one.
That's what Doug told me.
Not the same. No, that one's from New York, isn't it?
Yeah, it was from an auction from.
Yeah. I think I heard the story of that one night.
Yeah.
And the other thing I have on my agenda is for the quote from Pine Cove, which y'all are aware of, but I'll go through it in the open forum now. This was for a new ceiling mounted camera in the man trap entryway of the police department. And then an intercom for outside the door, which is also key lock access for those doors. The one fixed camera was $759.24. The intercom surprised me quite a bit. It was $1,519.24. And then of course we had to get licenses for each of those. The camera license was $683.24. The intercom license is $949.24. And these are licenses for 5 years, so we don't have to renew those for 5 years. Shipping and handling to get it next day is rushed, is $382.50. And the installation came to $2,843.75. So the total cost was $7,137.21. And I met with everybody it's been last Tuesday or Wednesday to get it ordered. Pretty much tracked everyone down at home, got your signatures, went over everything. And so tonight we just need to vote on it and get it on the official record. It was all installed Friday and is working. I've been setting up pretty much everybody with an individual fob for access. It tracks everyone that comes and takes their picture, as well as it rings in through the phone system. So it goes to our dispatch, and then when our dispatch is not here, it's ringing over to county. And they are able to unlock the door from either just the phone, or else everybody has access to it also through their video system. And it's been working great so far.
Do I have a motion to go ahead and pay this invoice to Pine Co for $7,137.27?
21 cents.
Says 27 on ours.
Oh, I don't
It
know.
is 21.
The quote says 21.
Yeah,
Okay.
change it. I'd make the motion to move ahead with the purchase of this. Pay the invoice.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
All right, and also this week starts where I currently only have one dispatcher working. I've got two at the academy, the other one's out for surgery. And so we've had, county is actually covering all of our dispatch services for us from 6 PM to 6 AM right now, which was the cause of the rush on getting this equipment installed. The first night took me about an hour and a half to get everything transferred over correctly. Had some bumps. Last night, everything worked automatically like it was supposed to, which was nice. And everything came back this morning on its own like it was supposed to. So all that seems to be working really well so far. Talking to the one dispatcher that was out for surgery this morning, her surgery was yesterday. They're talking about making her stay in the hospital for another 4 weeks in Oregon. So we'll see what happens with that.
Okay. Wow. Well, wish her the best for us.
Will do.
And they're monitoring our cameras and everything over there. That's all working good.
Correct. Yeah, they're monitoring the hot pool cameras, our cameras here at the building and that entryway, those two entryway cameras.
Great.
Good.
Well, this is a good test.
It is.
All right. Well, thanks, chief.
No problem.
Anything else?
Thanks, John.
Okay, we'll move on to the fire department. I have nothing to report from the fire department. So we'll move right into the recreation department.
How goes it, Carter?
How about you?
Doing well.
Main thing I got is hire Sophie Diaz for lifeguard at the $15 an hour. She will go to certification on the 25th.
Do I have a motion to go ahead and hire Sophie Diaz as a lifeguard for the swimming pool this summer?
I would make the motion to hire Sophie Diaz as lifeguard.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
That's it for me.
And then we have a letter of resignation. Jen, would you please read this letter from Kelsey Huntoon?
To Chuck Davis and Carter Edwards, I am writing to notify you of my resignation from my position of Assistant Recreation Director. My last day will be Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. This has not been an easy decision for me. I want to express my gratitude for the opportunity to try a new career path. I have grown as a person and as a community member. After careful consideration, I have decided this job no longer serves me. It is not in my best interest to stay. I have decided to pursue new opportunities that align with my long-term career and personal goals. I'm committed to ensuring a smooth transition. Thank you for the trust you placed in me and for the chance to learn some new things. Sincerely, Kelsey Huntoon.
Do you have a motion to go ahead and accept this letter of resignation?
I'll make the motion to accept her letter of resignation.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Anything else, Carter?
No, that's it.
Okay, well, thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you, Carter.
Okay, we'll move on to Department of Public Works, Mr. Penner. Heavy on the mister.
Hope this evening finds you well and happy.
It does, Mike, especially because you're here, you
Good.
know. Oh, okay, kind of hopping right in. On number 18, since I got here, when John was still here, we've had some issues getting the ventilation fans at the hot pool to work properly and consistently. We are still struggling with that. We've been squirrel cages in the heaters and blowers keep going out. I brought Scott down there. We don't really know why they're doing that and why they're not functioning like they're supposed to be. So we kind of talked about going to just one central blower and a central unit up in the attic. The ductwork is already there. We want something that's a little bit quieter, that works a little bit more efficiently. There's a proposal to existing fan styles out blower up in the attic and hopefully eliminate having to mess with these things.
We have the money? I would say we needs fixed. Any questions? We have a motion to go ahead and have Emery go forward with this quote from Platte Valley Heating for $2,130.
I'd make the motion to go ahead and move forward with it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And we have, Carter and the guys have been, and Kelsey, and this is part of that too, have been spending a ton of time down at the swimming pool, grinding and prepping the pool to get it painted. It's turning into a long process, but they have spent a ton of time down there trying to get it as prepped as we can. So that new paint sticks and stays on there. So we've pretty much exhausted the sandblasting option, the stripping option, and now we're down to their hand grinding assembly line. So he looks really good right now. With the last 4 days, he's looked like a wet piece of chicken and flour. I appreciate them guys and him getting that done. That's an arduous, tedious task, but I think it'll be well.
Yeah.
It'll look good when it's done.
And we'll probably start grinding on the deck this weekend and then get it, patch and crack fill the following weekend is kind of the plan that I've got lined out with B&H. Yeah, they've been working on that. Working on the same big projects we've been talking about, sewer lines, pathways up on the school grant applications for that. I know Craig was supposed to go out and survey today for the sewer crossings. Him and Levi had a boat. I haven't heard search and rescue that anybody drowned, so I'm assuming that went well. And we're gonna keep plugging away. We've got a lot going on.
And how's the airport lift station going?
I think we'll probably be done here in about 2.5 weeks.
We're waiting on electrical.
Yeah, and then Chuck and Chris are out this week doing a training. So many CEU hours for their licenses, so they're at conference right now getting trained. So we've got guys working on full, and that's just kind of on timeout for this week. But all the pipes in, and it's basically got to hook electrical up and she'll be live. And then we got some cleanup and stuff to do. But as far as being a functioning apparatus, it's power and we're done.
Good.
That overall went pretty doggone smooth.
Saved us a lot of money too.
Yeah, a lot of money.
Good deal. Any other question for Emery? Okay, anything else on Department of Public Works?
I had talked to Leo about our curb line. We're gonna do the west side of the park, and we should be getting a number from him here shortly. And then emailed him over some drawings and shoot us on that, and then hopefully we can get cracking on that next month.
Good deal. He's available then.
He says he is. So,
Okay. All right, well, thanks, Emery, and we'll move on to Planning Commission.
okay, so this ordinance 880, this would be the final reading of that. We have done 2. So even after the readings and everything, I haven't had no comments or anything from anybody. So if you guys are okay, we could do the 3rd reading and this thing would be wrapped up for the time being.
Let's do it.
Town of Saratoga ordinance number 25-880, an ordinance to amend the town of Saratoga Town Code Title 17 subdivisions An ordinance amending and clarifying the process of subdividing land or altering existing subdivisions within the municipal boundaries of the town of Saratoga, as well as the requirements and processes for the construction of public improvements of said subdivision, to provide an effective date.
Do I have a motion to pass ordinance number 880, title 17 on its final reading?
I'll make a motion to pass Title 17 on final reading.
I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion 880, title 17 is passed on its final reading. Okay, we'll move on. Emery?
Okay, so item 20, currently, this is one of 4 variance applications that we have on the table right now. What, in your memo, what stimulated this one is there's 2 sections in the code where they use the word yard and half kind of synonymously. Well, when you have a development code that's basically based off everybody having a 120-foot by 60-foot lot in town, it normally, like 90% of the time, this does not even, we don't even have this discussion. Because their lot was so big, it created this gap between their house and their garage. And they wanted to have that proximity a little bit closer. So the planning commission basically kind of rested on the fact that this normally isn't an issue. That 90% of the lots in town that are smaller in length, we don't have to do a variance. So it's just kind of giving these people a latitude that a lot of other lot owners have. So they recommended to have this one approved. I do think that's a pretty good thing to rest it on, and it's probably something, a word that we just need to get cleaned up anyway. It's these bigger, longer lots up on the hill, it really exasperates that issue where, like right now, if you build your house 250 feet off the road, you still have to have your shed for your garden rake like 400 feet past off that. We kind of don't think that's the intent of that. It's just a verbiage error. And it's something that I think it's a one-word cleanup. But in the meantime, we can't just, we can't say, yeah, go ahead, we're gonna clean it up. That's so it's kind of their only path forward. What you said, all variances are up to you guys, or the final say.
I don't see an issue with it. It's not, I mean, they turned this area into a subdivision and his lots are bigger than the normal ones in town, so. I mean.
Yeah, that's where you're running into that from is
Yeah.
code, not really anticipating these larger lot sizes.
And like in that Royal Springs subdivision, those people would, they do it according to the way it's road. Their storage shed will be off down underneath the hill. Yeah, almost at North Spring Creek. So, or South Spring Creek. So I don't have a problem with it. Is there any more discussion? The chair would entertain a motion to go ahead and approve this variance for this building.
I'd make the motion to go ahead and approve this variance.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, I don't. Okay.
So, and then we had another application from Cindy Wilson at 111 East Saratoga for a relief on a setback for a front yard for a porch. The Planning and Zoning Commission, that conversation was lengthy. Ultimately, they made a recommendation to approve it. The motion, it was a little muddy when that process was carried out. There were not illicit criteria kind of listed as to why. There needs to be some kind of illicit criteria for that. I'm not entirely sure if there weren't some people who were a little confused as to what was going on when that was carried out. So there are, options. You guys can move forward with it and approve it. You guys could, deny it based off there not being any criteria, or there's a second option. We do have a special meeting next week for the Planning and Zoning Commission. that you guys could have them, ask them to review it again and give you some criteria as to why, but it is up to you guys. That's.
So they're asking for an additional 3 feet?
Yeah.
And how far is it from the property line then?
So they're normally you gotta be 20 in that a residential use in that, so they're asking to be 17.
17.
The reason I bring up the criteria, and I'll reiterate why that is important, is because we do have people who have done a significant amount to comply, or they turn their building one way, or, you know, we're having a discussion about setbacks and shrink their house up 10 feet so they can comply. And if those people approach me, we just want to make sure, you know, I can say, well, the planning commission, yada, 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 approve this based off of this.
Well, I believe our goal was to try to keep everybody in conforming. We have enough non-conforming stuff built in town now.
I got a question.
Yes,
I'm Cindy Wilson. We went through extensive discussions and presentations to the planning commission and board, and extensive discussions of why we were doing this, for our safety, for our access to our backyard. We went through every single item on the requirements for a variance and addressed each item as to why we had a valid reason and purpose that couldn't be addressed in another manner. And we were put through the ringer at the planning commission meetings to go through this, to make sure that we were doing this in the best and most valid and most appropriate way. And that planning commission board voted to approve us after all of this discussion and all of the presentation that we made and everything that they looked at. So they looked at this extensively. And so I would just ask that you would consider the process that they went through, that we went through, to have the planning commission recommend this with a 6-2 vote. There was 2 opposed. McCall and Gia were opposed, and the other 6 were for it. And I believe that maybe Mr. Oxford is.
I was present. I don't vote on that stuff, but I covered, yeah.
Maybe heard the discussion.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be built out there? I mean, why, how come more footage?
Because that side of the house, what we want to do for our safety is to cover our entry.
Your front door?
The front door.
Okay.
So we go in and out in the winter a little more safely. So our contractor recommended a size and a position, and it's the 2 posts to support the roof of the overhang that are in the setback. So if they were put at 20 feet from that property line, they would be in the middle of the porch, and we couldn't access our backyard, the entrance to the gates to our backyard or Riverside yard. I know you guys know where we are. We're there between.
I have a general idea.
We're next to the motel. And so if the posts were back 3 feet, that'd be, we have a gate that goes in our yard, in the river yard. And the post would be right in the middle of that gate. Which makes it very much more difficult to enter, go in and out of our yard. The cantilever, if you cantilevered it out, the contractor doesn't think that's a good idea with the snow loads that we might have. This year, it might have been fine last year, it might have been fine the year before. it would have been inadequate. He doesn't want to tie it to the building itself. He wants posts to support it.
So is the fence you're talking about going out to the property line?
We have an existing fence on the property line. We have an existing concrete block wall on the property line. Our two posts are gonna be 17 feet back away from the property,
In from the property line on your property?
on our property. So we're asking for that 3 feet, but visually, our fence, which probably was built before the rule, I don't know, and the concrete block wall are all on our property line. And so our driveway's here, the property line's here. I don't know if you have the drawing and picture that I.
What's the dimensions on this porch?
It's 7 feet by, out from the house, by 12, maybe. I'm sorry, I don't know the.
It'd only be 4 foot if they shortened it.
The overhang will still be 7 feet like you want. Your
Yes.
post is what's in question.
Yes, the posts, 2 posts. Visually, there'll be no effect on anyone. The Frenchman on that side, the only people that are here is the motel. And, you know, the only thing that happens on that dead end road is that's where the snow's plowed and the debris is plowed.
I don't think the issues with you, I think the issues that the planning commission didn't explain it well enough to us.
So those are all the reasons that you stated that you should be allowed the variance. What I need is for the planning commission to explicitly explain why they voted that way. And we probably should have went over that at the meeting. Because you can have all the opinions you want and make your case for yourself,
Yes.
right? But then we have to be able to say, well, we gave a variance for this porch because A, B, and C makes it different from, this, that, and the other.
Yes, the facts and circumstances in this instance meet all the requirements of your.
I don't see
So what was it, 2-2 on the vote or what?
6-2.
It was 6-2 and it was extremely muddy and I'm not entirely.
And 6 were for it?
Yeah. But I'm not entirely sure everybody was aware of what was going on.
And
What are the variance requirements, Emery?
So they're in 18. I don't have.
I don't have that in front of me.
We can look them up real quick.
If it's still on the property, I don't really see it where it's that big a deal, but. Yeah,
I'm Jo Galvin, for anybody that doesn't know. I am on the planning commission. And I totally understand where you guys are coming from with saying we have enough non-conforming now. I'm one that voted in favor of this for one reason. I had asked about building the porch out and then going back, I don't know what you call it, anyway, so the posts aren't down there in the way.
Yeah.
And then then you're okay, because it's up here, it's not down on the ground. So that was my question, why we can't do that, well, structure wise, contractor didn't want to do that. I don't want to be one of those that passes these things every time and says, yeah, let's go ahead and give a permit, let's go ahead and give this allowance, let's do this. Because I get what Emery's saying, it could come back to bite us. However, in this circumstance, we're on a dead end street. The neighbors agreed that this is an okay thing. It is not a wall, a structure that is going to be in anybody's way. Nobody's gonna see anything, there's 2 posts. That's how I understood it. I may be all wet, but that's how I understood it, and so that's why I voted the way I did. I cannot speak for anybody else that voted in favor or against. We all have a personal opinion, but that is why I voted what I did. So if that makes you understand it a little bit better, that was mine, and so that's all I can tell you.
so it isn't gonna be a visibility problem, which that's why the setbacks are basically put in there, but.
And somebody else could say, well, why did they get a variance? Well, it's not a wall. I would love to have a porch in my house, but I would want the wall. This isn't a wall, this is an awning per se with two posts.
Yes, I understand that part.
And so, and it's on a dead end street. It is a tough situation, I will say. It could go either way, but that's exactly why this one person voted the way this one person voted. And the next situation, I would be the other way maybe. But in this instance, that's why I did what I did. Thank you.
Thanks, Jodell.
I don't feel that was muddy at all. And maybe, did you feel it was mud? I mean, it was very good. The vote to me was very good. No, but there were some afterwards saying, well, I didn't understand it that way, or I didn't get. So, and that's what I'm saying. I cannot speak for those people.
And that's an easy fix.
I cannot speak for them. I can speak for me.
That's an easy fix. If there was some confusion, send it back to the planning commission. They can write documentation, send it back to us so it's clean, then we can make our decision.
When's your meeting? Did you say you had a special meeting?
Next, the 23rd, next Wednesday.
Maybe you could look at it next Wednesday.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to continue with building outside the regulations. It just creates, then somebody else can come in and say, well, you gave this person a variance and you gave this person a variance. And if it can be built on their property and the overhang's still there, I mean, that doesn't meet the variance criteria the last time I read it. I haven't read it in a while. So I say we send it back. That's my opinion. Any other discussion?
I think to okay it personally. Cause I don't see where it's a visual issue or a safety issue or anything else. And that's the reason the setbacks are put in there. Just so you can see around the corner or so it doesn't obstruct the street.
Well, that's not all the reasons. Some of them are put in there so everything.
So what other reason would it be?
To keep everything uniform.
Residential areas allow for parking off street, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's on the inside of the fence still. So it's not like there's gonna be parking there.
It's on the inside of the fence by 17.
Yeah, well, and you can make 50,000 rules. So everything's uniform and exactly the same. But it doesn't always work everywhere either. You know?
No, well.
You always run against that. And that's the reason for a variance.
I think there should be more. To me, this does not fit. I'll just be honest with you. I think we have asked people to do a heck of a lot more to comply with the zoning ordinance. And we've had people turn their house to comply with the zoning ordinance.
But we didn't turn our house. It was already built.
No, but you can build your porch a little bit different, which to me is a lot less than what we have asked some other people to do who have willingly complied. I mean, there are people who spent
I agree.
multiple dollars moving a shed because it's out of compliance, change the design of their house, figure out where they're at the placement or where the placement of the house needs to be, where it might not be ideal. And it's for topographic issues. If there's a big steep slope or something and you can't build to the rear of your lot line because you got a line like, you know, a slope like this, things like that. Like, to me, if we okay this one, the next guy comes in and wants to build a deck or whatever, like where are we going to draw the line, or are we just going to change the code so the setbacks are 17 feet or they're 8 feet? Or that's my biggest concern.
That's why we went through all of this work, effort, and hearing. And got beat up meetings in a row by 2 of the members of the board, and the other 6 were supportive. If that's not the process that you want us to follow. I'm just asking, because I don't understand there's a process. We followed it, we addressed everything we were asked to address, and then they voted, brought it to you, and now you're saying that's not what we needed to do, we need to do something else.
Well, I said that when you brought in a building permit that, and
I'm asking the, thank you, Emery, I appreciate that,
And
but I'm asking the board members here.
that's why we hired him, or that's why I hired him. I don't know how the other council members feel, but, you know, we don't always have to agree with everybody else. I mean, you know, Jerry stated his opinion. He's not against it. I am because I want to keep it, I don't know. I can do this the easy way. Do I have a motion to go ahead and pass this variance?
I'll make a motion to pass it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Broke the tie. My recommendation is, do I have a motion to send this back to the planning commission?
hold on. Jerry made a motion to approve it and you broke the tie. You guys just approved it.
It's not approved.
Didn't he make didn't you make?
He made the motion, they voted yes to approve it. These two voted no. I voted no too.
He said any opposed, he said.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's 3-2.
I can poll.
No, I didn't, I missed that part where you
Oh,
asked them to, guys.
opposed. I would call for a motion to send this back to the planning commission and have them send us further detail on why they want to approve it. That'll give me a chance to read the variance application a little bit more, and everybody else on the council that was against it. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion on the table to send this back to the planning commission for further review. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Going back, if they can come, they can write us, clear it up, clean it up for us.
Can you vote on each, criteria or something at that meeting or?
That might be a cleaner way to do it moving forward, just so everybody's aware of what the criteria are and how the board felt on each. The criteria.
Criteria to see.
Yeah. And I thought about that after, because we've had so many of them lately, we've got to find a way to quantify these decisions a little bit better as to why they're being made, and that might be an option, because there's like 7 of them, I think, like A through D in that ordinance. If we went through and just yay or nay on each one of the criteria, and if it doesn't pass, 80% of the criteria just doesn't meet it. It might be an easier way to quantify what is allowed and what's not when it comes to variances. Okay, so moving on to number 22, with these variances and some of the subdivision applications, we have, lost quite a bit of money on advertising and postage. So I went and looked at, let's see. Bardon, Afton, Thermopolis, Wheatland Mills, and Laramie's cost for these, variance applications and subdivisions, special use permits, all that jazz. And I rewrote the ordinance to be a little bit more competitive with those associated costs, so we're not losing a bunch of money on each application. Some of these are a little bit lower than some of the communities I listed, but they're a little bit higher. We're kind of in the median there. I did ship this off to Kylie, and she said it looks fine. Whatever you guys want to do with the cost, this is the appropriate way to probably pass it. And then also the building permit fees, they'll stay the same. They're pretty congruent with what we're charging right now is congruent with the most updated building code. So I just updated the language there is all, so none of the building, like get a building permit for a deck, it'll be the same as it is right now. So there's no reason to change that, but a couple advertisements and some postage and a few $100 pretty quick.
What did you say, Jen? Oh.
Go get a paper.
Oh. It's $10 to send out each certified letter.
Yes, that
And we send them out to people. We are actually losing money
Yeah,
to cover a variant.
Or a subdivision, like the subdivision application process right now is extremely cheap.
Yeah.
There was a few that on some of these communities that was a little bit higher than what I've got listed. I think what we have is probably plenty.
It's upside down. 91.
Sorry.
We don't have to pass this.
and we're losing money in the beginning, but we're gaining money in the end. Because we're making money off water taps, all that stuff in the end.
What do you mean off the?
Off
Like
the
a
building there and,
off a subdivision application?
correct. We're making money off the subdivision in the end, even though we're losing money on these.
Well, they're two different, I mean, the water and sewer is gaining funding, but the general fund's not recouping any cost to go through that process. I mean, we're getting a little property tax, maybe, after somebody builds a house or whatever.
Yeah,
Well, and another thing too, when the fees are more appropriate, I think it can deter somebody just throwing in something just to see what happens. Maybe think a little bit more that they're going down the right avenue. I don't think these have been updated since they were probably put in, I don't know, however many years ago.
We can,
So you're literally really only raising it roughly $500.
Well, for which
At the
one?
end of it, in your subdivision.
Yeah, so the base.
So you're greater of 500 or 25 per lot. It used to be 100 or 10 with $1,000 maximum. You're raising it to a $1,500 maximum.
Yeah, and some of them were $2,500 max and some were $750 minimum, but if somebody comes in with just like wants to do a couple lots, $500 is plenty to go through that process, and then gives you a little bit more if somebody wants to come in and do 20.
you guys want to review this some more? Look at the old ones? Put on a quick reading and then review it. How would the council like to proceed?
I think we should go ahead and pass it on first reading.
This will also allow us to update those via resolution in the future if we want to. Every hurt that every 3 years up them a couple percent or something.
You want to read it? The title?
Ordinance number 882, an ordinance amending title 15, chapter 15.04, section 15.04.080, as well as title 18, chapter 18.72, section 18.72.010.b of the Town of Saratoga Municipal Code concerning building permit application fees, as well as planning and zoning application and permit fees, and to provide an effective date.
I would entertain a motion to go ahead and pass this on its first reading to approve this on its first reading.
I'd make the motion to approve ordinance 882, title 15 on its first reading.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll pass it on its first reading. We'll
Look at any of the numbers and we want to amend them or anything. I'm not stuck on those figures. Those were just.
If you guys want to compare them to the old numbers, I'll print some out to see how much they went up and everything.
And they should be on, the old numbers should be struck out on there.
They are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the lines through.
Oh, okay.
Just got to turn it over.
Oh, okay. I'm with you. I didn't read that page.
Never seen them letters like that before.
Well, we left that in there so we could see
See the increase.
they were, yeah. And it was a short enough ordinance that we could go through the strike out on
Okay.
the process.
Well, guys can talk it over and now the public can hear about it. We'll go from there. Good. Anything else from the planning and zoning?
Not from me.
Any other? Okay, we'll move on to water sewer joint powers board.
Okay, so they adopted, new bylaws. Jen should be getting a copy, she should be emailing me a copy here shortly. So we have one, they'll send one to the county. Nothing that they adopted really in conflict with the agreement that we have with the county for that board, basically just proceedings, how they elect officers, things like that. What to do if they need a special meeting. Pretty standard. The biggest thing that we did talk about on there was we ran some numbers on I guess like 100-year model on a water tank. And right now, it looks like concrete's probably if you do 100 years, probably the ways we're thinking we're probably gonna go, just because we eliminate that mid-risk of needing an additional metal tank halfway through that 100-year period. So even we know concrete probably has a bigger demolition price long-term, like getting rid of a concrete tank if we have to, I'm sure it's gonna be more than the $50,000 that we paid to get rid of the metal tank. But we feel pretty confident that we can get through a 75 to 120 year period with one concrete tank.
And it's supposed to be good for the temperature swings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and putting a mixer in both, what other way we go, putting a mixture in both of them, is going to be a much needed improvement for water age and keeping some of the ice out of it. But the post tensions, the way they construct those is supposed to be able to handle all the up and down. And they do build them all over. There's north, they got them in Arizona, Minnesota, everywhere.
And now what kind of a guarantee they have on them?
So the warranty period, I think, varies with the manufacturer. I know there's a minimum, I want to say it's a 5-year on these DN guys, but that's something we would all go through before we just swung and bought one. But just off that model, that's kind of the way we were leaning. Give you guys a little update. That's going to be probably a few years down the road before we start plugging away at that one, kind of see what happens with this sewer project money wise and see where special purpose tax is at. But I think, and having another tank really lets us maximize what we can get out of that one, being able to empty one and line one. You start having to bring in temporary storage to line something, it kind of costs diminishing returns, but if we can just turn one off and maintenance, that's a pretty big benefit to us. That was kind of the big ticket item there. Prices can change a lot between now and 2027. And the site work is a big question mark on that. What's it going to cost to get the either tank? What's it going to cost to do the dirt work or because the water tanks aren't projects where we have 900 examples to look from in the area. They're kind of rare things that get put in. So, we've got an idea, but the site work and the prep could come in $1 million higher than what we anticipated. Bid wise and budgeting wise, we're definitely going to figure high on that.
And probably we're gonna have to pay for it. Probably won't get any help on it.
If we want to get one sooner rather than later, which might not be, to be able to access the longevity out of that tank, it's probably going to be primarily on us at this point, paying for extra. What the state regulations would consider extra storage is not right now on their priority list. So according to DEQ, we have adequate storage. We've had 2 tanks in the past and seen the benefits of having 2 tanks, and we can make that happen again. I think it is a benefit to us. I don't think we want to do that to where we financially negate ourselves from being able to replace a water line or something. But if we can do it in a certain level of excess, I think that's a path we go down and exhaust. I would not spend all of our water money trying to do it. Let me just put it that way.
Okay,
That's
thank you, Emery. Okay, we'll move on to the Recreation Commission. Mr.
Don't
Butler.
really have anything new to report. Our last meeting just didn't go over that much. Yeah, we talked about what was going on with the programs that Carter has and stuff. The next meeting is May 5th at 6 o'clock here at the Town Hall Council Chambers.
Okay. Well, we have an ordinance 881 revising the composition of the Recreation Commission. Would you please read that? This is the final reading on it.
Yes, sir. Ordinance 881, revision of ordinance number 2.24.020, an ordinance of the town of Saratoga, Carbon County, Wyoming, revising chapter 2.24.020 of the town of Saratoga Municipal Code, regulating the composition of the Recreation Commission.
And what this boils down to is a 5-person board instead of a 7-person board. Do I have a motion to go ahead and pass ordinance 881 on its final reading?
I'll make the motion to pass ordinance 881.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I see nothing else, so we'll move on to the Saratoga Airport Advisory Board and
Right, Shorty. He's got it upside down.
That's how I'm used to reading everything tonight.
okay, Miss Brenda.
The bid is for the airport entrance sign. They're wanting to improve. Materials there are listed at 47,257.
Okay,
It's gonna be through Blake Gearhart.
okay. Karina ran some numbers for us. Would you please share those on their budget?
This was not budgeted for, in their budget this year. However, if you guys wanted to approve it, we could do a budget amendment. And they also, if their revenues do not cover it, they have money in their wild class that would be able to cover the expense.
Okay. Ron, did you want to add something to this, please?
The materials, it's going to be spanning across the entranceway. We looked at the 2 different types of materials that he presented. Blue lambs are out of the question because of the expense. So we went with the steel option wrapped in wood. We're gonna wait on the sign. The actual sign after we see it built and how it looks. And also we have to discuss with Emory and YDOT. Obviously, to make sure we're not in any interference with that, where they place the sign actually. But the blue lamb, just all wood, totally out of the question. And talking with Thad, who's replacing a lot of wooden entry signs on his property. He put them in 2019 and he's now replacing the last one because of just warping and weathering. And I think that Blake said that he's now replacing 4 signs completely out of wood on Brush Creek right now for the same reason. So that is what we're looking at. So that was just the picture of the Brush Creek one is just an idea of what we're looking at. It's going to be a really clean entrance. And the big part is we have to make sure that they have entrance for like fuel trucks for the height. That was the thought process on the landscaping wasn't approved and is going, so it should be done by May. And Blake said that if he could get started on this, it would also probably be done in a couple weeks in May by 1st of June. And then we also have a monument that's going to be coming up, dedicated in July, presented by the Gload family.
So is this what you're looking at? Is it what they voted?
Yes, so it's going to be 2 posts spanning the across the entranceway, steel beams, supporting it crossways. Looking at, the loads from the winds because of the height and where it's situated. So it's gonna be something, it looks similar to that.
Any questions for D-Ron?
And our landing fees have increased, so we're still bringing in money.
What's the monument?
It'll be a P-51 dedicated to Jack Shively.
A real P-51?
Yeah, 4-foot wingspan, I think is what they said. Yep.
Hmm.
It's gonna be cool.
Hmm.
So we'll be having a dedication in July and the entire Wood family will be here. So, and they're dedicating it, or they're providing all of it. And they give a really great story. We should have her come here and talk to you about it sometime.
Thank you. On this sign, it's strictly up to the council if they want to approve it. And like Karina explained, they have the money. They don't have it in this budget. Or the revenue won't be there to cover it. So we'll have to end up pulling it some out of wild class. But it's up to you guys if you want to go ahead and approve it.
I'd make the motion to go ahead and approve it.
Do I have a second?
I'd second it.
Any discussion? So is this is not gonna warp and,
No. That's why we're going with this deal. Should last a lot longer. And like I said,
The setback and everything on the highway is the only thing I wonder about.
right, and we discussed that in depth. Compliance with like our, if we put it up and it's not in compliance, like. we
Yeah.
just tear it down, so, yeah.
that,
That's what we discussed.
well, it's gonna be about where you go in the entrance now, isn't it?
Exactly. It should be a problem. I think we're more than, I think it was 60 feet, maybe. I think we're more than that,
Yeah.
that whole area.
So we can come up with the money?
It can be paid for out of their funds.
Yeah.
They have the money. We just gotta go into their wild class and it's a budget amendment that, not a super big deal to do.
Okay.
Little work for the treasurer, transferring money around, but. Okay. Okay, I have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Anything else from the airport?
Cameron Keenan spoke about the hangar owners and how they can connect to the new sewer after construction is complete. And they discussed a little bit about the budget. We're gonna do, Jesse from our engineer is gonna be with us next month with them, go in depth on the budget. Talk more about the master plan. And they'll be getting a second AGIS survey done, and that'll be in May or June. That's this time it's with the trees budded and yes, they said. And there's a TAC meeting that's tentatively scheduled for July. And there's a helicopter out at the airport right now. Don't know if anybody's seen that. It's a USGS doing mineral survey. And he said that'll be out there for like 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, good.
I've seen a lot.
Okay, and we are caught up on landing fees, is that correct?
The only thing we're behind on is this first quarter. We haven't got to check that for the first quarter of this year.
Any questions? Okay, thanks Brenda, thanks D-Ron. Okay, we'll move on to the South Central Wyoming Emergency Medical Service. Nothing to report from there. Is there any new business to be brought before the town? Nothing in sight. To have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Or do I have a second? Excuse me.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Guess I got in a hurry. No.
Just your kind of your, itinerary on how the budget is gonna